I have traveled many miles amongst some of the finest railways in the American West. Historic transcontinental railways, now all but abandoned. There's something to learn from them. The sights they once offered numerous pioneers and pilgrims, all from distant lands. The jobs and communities they supported, as well as the sheer hard labor and never-ending drive that embodies the human soul you see projected along these railways. I noticed on this particular section I'm exploring today, an anomaly. While using Google Earth, something that was simply off, or doesn't add up. It appears there's a missing section of rail, quite evidently, all but disappearing into the mountains. Here's what I believe I discovered. So I was following the old railroad. The railroad we're on today, built in the late 1800s, finished early 1900s, cuts over about 6,000 feet, was one of America's premier transcontinental lines. But I noticed something just spending time back here studying the railroad that I think you guys will find interesting. It's either a catastrophic mistake on the railroad's early development, and we're going to go figure it out today. But I found it and traces of it on Google Earth, and this location that I actually believe is an old train car where this mistake happened while they were building this line. It looks like people worked from two opposite sides of the mountain, and they finally settled on this. But I'll show you the remains of the very old line, or the first line that was up here. But yeah, so I've covered this railroad, many miles of it. The old Northern Pacific is one of my fascinations. Many people call me out for saying the old Milwaukee because it's a beer, but I like calling it the old Milwaukee because it's old to me. I'm younger, so it's old. I never had an opportunity to see it in operation, but just some of the history that's in this land just never ceases to amaze me, and I always visit the old tunnel just to check how it's doing. And one of the interesting facts about this tunnel, we're getting buzzed by these ravens. He's got a nest up there. He's been harassing me. I'm not gonna hurt you, I like you guys. We'll get out of here. But this tunnel was built by hand, lumber in hand, way up on this mountain, and you can see some of the core bores so they could blast it with dynamite. But when I look at it, it just gets worse and worse, worse and worse. So I'll meet you on the other side and we'll go to this discovery. I want to know what you guys think, because this is clearly a rail line with a massive mistake that's rather hiding in plain sight. So I thought it was really interesting just spending an afternoon up here and kind of pondering what's going on with this discovery. We'll see you on the other side. He waits for me up there, but yeah, look at these timbers. A lot higher climb, more dirt. This is at total collapse. A couple more years. Now this is my favorite feature here, just this narrow slot. I find it really cool. And mind you, it's been 40 nearly 50 years since a locomotive's been on this track. Originally, it was steam locomotive, then diesel, so on, but old Northern Pacific line. And let's find a date here. So this section here is 1957, and the oldest section I found was 1921 so far. But here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to show you this split from the main line, and maybe it connected at one point, maybe it didn't. Maybe someone knows what this is, but I think it was a mistake when they were building this rail line. So I'm going to pay particular attention to this section. And also, I'm noticing there are no stamps on this rail. There is nothing. No stamps, no identification markers, whether that's because it got rusted off or it's really that old that they didn't start doing that. That's up for debate. But watch when we come up here. See how there's earth plopped up over here? And it's just very overgrown. This happened afterwards. This line was actually very active. Very active. Now, it's a gully and a pretty nice wildlife trail. But we're not going to access it through this brush just because I know there's bears up here. Mostly black bears. I'd be surprised if there's a grizzly, but there's a lot of weird things happening right now with them. So I'm not going to go through the thicket. I have a better point to access this without taking the unnecessary risk of low visibility. So we're going to go to the other side, and I'm going to show you where this old train car is and everything. But keep this in mind, because I'll show you on Google Maps in reference what was there. The section you are viewing on Google Earth with me is headed eastbound, and you can see there was clearly some sort of track or some sort of access for a locomotive to access this departure from the main line, or this may have been initially the main line is what I'm thinking, and then transferred over to the other canyon we're hiking through right now. Something may have happened, or there was a mistake or miscommunication, and two different crews on both sides of this mountain actually may have dug this trench line that you're seeing, or earth exposed, and it did not meet up with the surveying markers or the general planned area of the current location of the main line. But you can see it's definitely been disturbed and worked earth, and it's pretty wide, and there is no more rail after the berm we discovered here. So here's another peak. This is that cliff. Here's another peak, and this is that cliff we have to get on the other side of to climb. But this is a canyon the old Northern Pacific went right down. And this is just how overgrown it is. But I'll pull up Google Maps and I'll show you some of the imagery, what you can see clearly as well as I did. And that's why I'm out here wondering about this. And I don't know if there's going to be a tunnel on this other side or not. I haven't investigated this. This is what I believe to be an old rail car that was left here. Whenever this line got dismantled, and I'm thinking switched over, but there's things all over the place. And you see how graded and flat this is. You can actually almost make out the rail line here. But what's interesting is I'll show you up there as well. What's making me believe this was a rail system. There was a rail system here way before there was that main line that's still accessible to us that we saw today. But here's what I believe to be the rail car left up here. Back before there was any reason to move it, right? I think this was a rail car. There's just little details that stick out. The insulators up there. Here, I'll go up here and show you something now. Fuel drum. This right here is a lot of tailings. That's what this is. I don't know if this was a mine at one point here, but you can tell this is all rich quartz. A lot of quartz. A lot of that here. Really sparkly quartz. '09? Is that really from 1909? No, 1945 to '09. Look at this. Big slab of granite. But there's little clearing all over. And this is actually a foundation. Yeah. So there's a foundation here. There's something over there. But you see the granite, the hand carved granite, chiseled, I should say. This is homemade or handmade. This was fabricated from an I-beam. See the weld marks? Yeah. I don't know what this was though. It almost looks like a planter for a tractor or something. Little bits and bobs all over. See, these rocks are definitely not natural. Way too square. And there another is. There's actually quite a few of them. Right here. Bunch of square granite. The rest is covered up. So this is well over, 120 some years ago. But you can see how some of the land still hasn't grown back since whatever was going on up here. A lot of rock's been moved as well. Oh, what is this? Matter of fact, there's something right here. This goes down. What the heck is this? It's a well. It's a homemade well. It's a hand-dug well. There's a dead tree over it. But you can see it was covered up. Yeah, get that out of here, Greta. I don't know how deep that goes. There's PVC sticking out of it too. This is interesting. It was covered up with this sheet of metal. But the well's very old. Someone recently actually stuck PVC in there. See if I can't. Flashlight in there. See how the rock is? Hand stacked. This is a well. Look at the water. Oh, there's an old bottle down there. I just don't know how deep this sucker goes. It's an impressive well. Pretty interesting. It's spawning all sorts of bugs. But check that out. This old Bess. This is I think this is actually pretty deep. Maybe not. Let's move this. It's about up to that algae line on this. And I think this is a 10-foot stick of 1.5 inch, schedule 40. So it's over 10 feet deep from the surface, but it's not that filled. It looks pretty crazy, huh? This is a cool find. All this hand-stacked rock. So this is way before, but it's built with rail ties. Oh my gosh. I know what this is. This was for steam locomotives. This was to fill the steam locomotives with water at one point. Whether they did it with buckets or anything, that's what this was. This was what we're going to is actually a steam locomotive stop. Oh, this is a big one. There's a big elk back here. But look, so this is a, and you see there the old train car thing is, but this is, I think that's what this is. I think that's what this is. It's exactly what's going on back here. And yes, this was a pass. Whether this was the main line and they readjusted after steam locos, I don't know. But they blew this. None of that's natural. None of this rock. All this chucked up rock. Look at that. They blew right the side of it. See how it's shaped? This is an old rail route. And a elk bed now. What this is, an elk run. I'm gonna actually, before I commit to bushwhacking all this, I'm gonna get a better view from the sky. Now, as I'm viewing this from a different angle, you can clearly see this is very disturbed. And it's just sheer rock face. But that leads me to another question. Was this actually a huge mistake on this historic railroad route? Or was there at one point an actual tunnel? You can see from the east side, it isn't that visible. There's a lot of dead growth and new growth, but it looked like sheer rock wall, and then they stopped. As well, for the west side of this mountain as well, it looks like they stopped, but it's clearly visible that there was some sort of workings there, and track at one point, which is interesting that or maybe they graded it and there was never track, but there was certainly something going on, and it's still up for question. There was something going on right next to this line, and it was clearly some miscommunication on someone's fault, right? Interestingly, it looks like they collapsed that tunnel. Whether that was the first tunnel and then they had afterthoughts, I'm not sure. But from looking back there from the sky, it looks like it was collapsed, and it's super old, if that is the case. But you can see none of this is natural, and there's plenty of signs that at one point the railroad itself actually ran through here, which you can barely make out today. But there was some sort of a mistake or something going on to where they did that, to where they relocated it. So this was the original cut we're looking at, and you can see all the rocks. They blasted away and just moved over up here on this berm. It's pretty interesting, and you can overlook it. But the one thing that led me to look deeper into this area is that what I think is a train car there, a very early train car or something. But why would it be here? And you see how everything's cleared out, and there's just wood and like just strange things all over the place, right? And you see how straight this is and level, like right about here, very level. And even this, what is this? See, this looks like it was built out of rail ties as well. Just barely there, but they lifted all this track and I think rerouted it. And what currently has track was likely changed to the main line. So they must have had difficulties between one or two sides. And this was a temporary run, or this was the first run. And it's interesting because I had no idea that the lengths to actually get a train up here were that hard. I mean, that's a lot of work right there in its own. And then you have the well over here. Oh wow, this is a beautiful chunk of quartz. Yeah, that's solid quartz right there. A solid ball of quartz. Wow. Like you can see, even this was level at one point. Like to me, that doesn't look natural. Just this level bed on top of the rock. And this was all stacked. I'm wondering if these are old telegraph posts. That were cut down as well. And the track was relocated. Check this out. It's actually quite a bit of trash here. Watch out. Get out of there. This is like metal. It's a solid hunk of glass. Almost looks like a brandy. Like an old-time brandy bottle. Unbreakable safety wear, it says. It's like some clay tiling. Oh, there's something on this. What the heck does this say? Can't see what that says. Or what this would have been. It's too cylindrical for a brick. Making men's household cement bottle. Here this is. This is the initial canyon that they dug out. And you can compare it to the other one. And it's actually very similar, but of course it's not. But you can see how there was an actual railway that ran through here. Interesting. Interesting. I didn't get to really find what I thought, but I was hoping there was a tunnel, an old tunnel that you could look at. It was just for that steam engine that went through here, but it's an interesting piece of history and knowledge for this line and what was going on back here. So, with that said, I'm gonna hit the road, my friends, and get ready to get even higher up into the mountains, because I got something pretty cool I want to see, and the snow should just be about thawed. All in all, it was a good afternoon, and I'm happy to share the day with you, and I appreciate your time, and hope I piqued your curiosity as much as myself. Thank you. Hope you're having a good day. See you on the trail.
What you think, no matter what happens tomorrow. I just wanted to tell you one thing: I'll never, ever give up. Never, ever, my love. I may fail a million times, but I'm stubborn as and I'll never, ever give up on you. Me in the garden where the wildflies